Hello, thank you for being with me this evening. We are going to give a continuity to the last clip that we did some week ago. You are about to be on a trip to learn to see a new you, a subject that you cannot learn on books. There is no school to tell you how to, and very difficult to find any individual that eventually will tell you the way to go. All this that you are going to hear now, it's an approach that through the years I have done by myself. So bear with me, because I'm going to go deep in certain things and let that case of wonder to embrace you and to bring you to a new sphere of understanding who you are. We are beloved. We are special. In doing so, we must be like it. Now somebody can ask me, but how do you know the way to go? It's very simple. Just keep on going. The way makes the way. The only way that is not good is the way of being not going forward. You can stop, you can go left or right, but keep on going. The road makes the road. Don't expect anything from anybody, but expect everything from everybody. Okay? Now, we are going to have a great time. Let me start with the same idea. As I was a child, it was a time that my mother and my father was not getting along very well. And my dad was passing through a certain kind of financial difficulties, and he had to be out of the house for a while to get his business going. And in doing so, very little money was coming in, because my mother was a housewife and we were a very small kids that time. I myself was the third on the scale, and I had around 8 years old, 8 to 10, let's put it this way. I used to go out, as my mother used to say, go there and buy some tomatoes, some lettuce, some rice, beans, things like this. And I used to go out, and for some reason I would look it down on my way to the market, and I found a little roll on a sidewalk. So as a child I grabbed it and I looked at it. It was money. Now, find once, it's pretty much okay. But when you go out, like maybe even two or just once a day, and you find money, it's not much money, it's just some money, okay? Like a few dollars. In Brazil would be reais, okay? But just to make a comparison, not too much, but was there. Okay, for some reason, instead of spending candies or ice cream or anything like that, I used to put in a little shoebox and hide it under my bed. And the time passed by. Well, one day my mother called all the 3 children and said we hit the bottom of the well. We don't have any money, and the food that we are going to eat today, I don't know where the next meal would come from. My dad cannot be reached at that time to help us, and my mother was a proud woman, and so we kept on going. And the meeting of a family meeting was over. It hit me that I had the money. So I went down on the bottom of my bed, took the little shoebox and came and said, "Mother, I don't know how much we have, but here is some money." Everybody looked at me. What? But, you know, like a child trust type, I just had the money. Well, I don't know today, it was a long time ago, I don't know today how long or how much money we had, or I had, on the little box. But anyway, was enough for us to buy a decent meal. I don't mean buy a meal in itself, but buy the things that would make a meal to everybody. And the beauty about it is that I do not recall from there on that we need the money, or that we went out of money, I would say, and we were able to have our substance, and eventually that was over. In other words, I was able to have, or we were able to have, a decent meal from then on. I do not recall as family that we had any more problems with a substance of money to make the purchase of part of a meal for each one of us. Now, how can that happen? To go out and eventually find money. You know, and at night when I used to pray, I say, "Father," talking with God, I guess, "Father, if I am finding money, which is okay, but what about the one that lost it?" Imagine. What about the one that lost it? And you know, the most interesting part of it, you know the answer that I have? Little John, don't worry. Supply is a thing of thought. Again, supply, it's a thing of thought. If you think it, you will have it. But be careful the way you think. Be careful the way you try to have substance, to have supply, and in other words, to have money. Well, that was a great lesson. So I found the money, and it was not for me to be concerned because I found the money. Imagine, the money was there for me to have it, right? And for some reason, I spent that money in the most appropriate way possible. And I was so delighted to be able to provide a small amount of money for my whole family to nourish themselves. That was one case. All right. Many years later, I had a very, very unusual, actually it was 3 days dream. And the dream was that I was in a place where I was with just a shorts with no top because it was too hot. And beside me was a very strong person. I mean, a strong person, like a bodyguard. And in the back was a shelves. This on a dirt situation, okay? Down below ground, I would say. And on that place was bars of gold. Bars of gold. This was the first night dream. Then, the next day, I went to sleep again, and the dream started from that point on, that I was on a place, and I was able to see a very unusual place. Was like a pyramid on the woods, some trees on the bottom of the mountain, and I was supposed to go up to that mountain, and on the right hand side of the mountain, looking at me, was like a very shiny type crystals, which at the time I thought was diamonds. Okay, so I was supposed to go up on that mountain and eventually go around it to find a specific red dirt. Red dirt. And in this red dirt, I would find gold. In here, I will put the picture of that place and a few other pictures for you all to see where I was. Okay? All right. So I was supposed to go up to the mountain to be sure. In one side of the mountain, which was like a pyramid type, in one side was a very shiny type things, which looked to be like crystals or diamonds, right? In the other side, I would go and on a red dirt, carve it, and I would find gold. All right. So I was supposed to go to some place to find a gold mine. The time passed by. At that time, I was a horse breeder here in Brazil. In one of those meetings, what we call in here exposition, which was just a show to see which horse would fit mostly inside of the breed that time I was one of the breeders. And it was already maybe 10 o'clock at night, and the whole group of cowboys was sitting down, making some food, drinking some coffee and beer. I don't drink myself, but you know, youngsters do that. And to make the thing more lively, I start talking about of this experience, how I dreamed the first time, how I dreamed the second time, and how I dreamed the third time, which was culminating on the idea of having the finding of gold. All right, so everybody was laughing, everybody was happy, everybody was, oh wow, that's funny, how interesting, and so on. So I kept on, and I noticed beside me, nearby, was a gentleman that I never seen before, and he was holding himself back on the fence of the paddock, and he came to me. He was an enormous guy. I am what, 5'3", 5'5", something like that, and this guy was at least 6 feet tall and maybe 125 pounds. Oh, much more than that. He was double my size. I was like a little child near him. Anyway, he came to me and said, probably you have heard, you are going with me to Naked Hill. For us is Serra Pelada. Naked Hill, it's a place up to the Amazon area in the north part of Brazil, where the biggest open gold mine in the world was there. I said, you're kidding me. I even don't know who you are. And he said, oh, don't worry about that. I am friend of that gentleman over there. And that gentleman was just my partner on a farm where I used to have my horses. Okay, 1 month later, I was heading towards Serra Pelada, or Naked Hill, here in the north part of Brazil. Now imagine a small car full of stuff. We went in, right? We were like a 5-person inside of the room, the little car. Go to the jungle of the Amazon. Friends, I'm telling you, we used to pass through things that not Indiana Jones passed, looking for the Holy Grail or the Lost. One of those films of Indiana Jones. Anyway, It was incredible. But when I left in here, I told this gentleman, I say, listen, I cannot vow for this as true because it was a dream, right? And I don't even know if that is in Serra Pelada or Naked Hill. The whole thing could be anywhere in the world. I know it's in a jungle, but gosh, jungle can be anywhere. But even that, he was very straightforward, said, no, you're going with me. I said, okay. So anyway, to make the thing short, so we took a trip, the most incredible trip that I've been since, and the interesting part was we had the most unusual experience of eating food or drinking stuff from, you know, native type of fruit they never heard about before. But we arrived in Naked Hill. Friends, I hope I will be able to put the pictures behind me and I will explain that on a regular basis because it's just incredible. Okay? So on the next video you will see that how dreams can come to life. How can you see an idea and you pursue it, it will come to fruition? How that can be? I had many experiences like that. And one thing that I'm learning is to exchange things into thoughts. I repeat, things into thoughts. Is not the contrary. Thoughts into things. You exchange things into thought. There is a different level that we can go through in life. And the understanding where we act makes the whole difference. The visions of these so many entrepreneurs that we have today are possible because they thought and they have things and exchange that things into levels of thought to envision a whole scenario that time, effort, and substance of money they were able to accomplish. Get that? Maybe we are on a realm of looking for things which are real, but we don't see it, which are touchable, but we don't know that is possible. Okay? Now, I hope you will be with me on the next video, and I'm enjoying so much to tell you all this detail. By the way, this whole process I'm talking to you right now, I will be calling 3 names: the warrior, the saint, and the poet. And then, pretty soon you will find out that warrior is not something that, like a man with a sword, or a saint is not something that we think it is. And the poet, of course, is the inspiration of a line of thinking that comes in, dawns on you as dawns on me, and I can make fantastic poems. Okay? So be with me and let's have fun together. All right? Until the next video. Have a good time. Always have a good time.